Let's see here. First time stream to the YouTube. Trying to find out. Find out. All right. Found out. All right. So, I'm gonna go ahead and create a new file here. I'll do 1024 by 1024. And then let's go ahead and get my paintbrush and paint some cracks in here. I wonder how that over there looks. And so let's do size jitter, and then we'll add in some angle jitter as well. And then let's see here, something like that. Yeah, there we go. And then I'm going to go ahead and actually I need to make all this in a new layer. So here we go. I'll go ahead and just click around. Kind of like that. And then let's see, I can bring in some of these other cracks. Something like that. But of course I need to update my brush settings. Let's do some size jitter and then angle jitter. Something like that. And then what we can do is come in here. Now we're going to paint up our fissure. And so maybe we want just a long, thick streak up here. Something like that. I'm just going through and I'm creating this crack with the lasso tool. Something like that. And from here, I think this right here is probably good enough to import into Unreal. So we'll do that. And then, yeah, so we'll leave it at that for now. Okay. And I'm going to go ahead and save as this file that I already have. Save, yep. Okay. And from here, what I'm going to do is re-import this to Unreal. Let's see here. let's just do re-import, and I'm going to go ahead and create this from scratch so that you can see what I do. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and bring in my fissure texture, and what I'm doing here is I'm creating cracks in the ground, and we're going to have like some shader-based fire coming out the ground with some nice sparks created inside of VectorayGen, and should be a nice little stream here. So I want to derive HDR from LDR, so high dynamic range from low dynamic range. I'm going to plug this right here into my V3, and actually should bring up a multiply, and then I'm going to go ahead and make a color, and let's make like a nice blue or something here. We'll go with that for now. And it would be cool if I upgraded to 420 so I could access the color atlas, curve atlases. That would make this a whole lot easier. But I'm on 419 in this particular build. Okay, and so now I'm going to plug this into emissive. I've got it set to translucent and unlit. I'm just going to grab this red channel right here, plug that into opacity, and right now I have something that looks like this. Okay, kind of hard to see on this particular background. I don't know how you change the colors specifically, but from here I'm going to go ahead and add in a, what are we going to call this? We'll call it intensity. So this is our glow intensity for the HDR, and we'll make this say 5, something like that. Let's go ahead and apply that, and now I'll save it, and we'll save that too. And so now on my ground over here I have a nice fissure or crack or whatever, and so I'm going to, let's see here, I think it's called just plane. I'm gonna rotate this a little bit, maybe bring it over there. I can go to my landscape tool and paint in my grass where it needs to be painted in, kind of like that. And I'll paint it in right there a little bit, maybe throw in some grass here and there. Maybe we'll throw in a little bit of rocks here to lessen some of that grass amount. And yeah, okay. And we're going to go through and clean this material up and make it look really nice here in a bit. This is just some basics from Photoshop real quick. Okay, yeah, so we kind of expand out, paint in some rocks there, and I think that's looking pretty nice. Let me go ahead and remove the grass from that crack right there. Maybe we'll paint in some other darkness around it. Okay, so now that we've got that, let's go back into Photoshop. I'm going to select my crack that I have here, and what I'm going to do is go to select and modify. I'm going to contract my selection. We'll do say 5 pixels, and now I'm just going to fill this in with like a lighter color. So say something like this. Yeah, there we go. And then what I can do is select all that. I'll go to filter and then filter gallery, and I'll do paint daubs, and let me see if I can get this to be looking nice. So you change my brush size a little bit, and this right here will just help me fade in my edges a little bit, something like that. And then I'll go to blur, and I'm going to do a Gaussian blur. And let's see here. Okay, something like that. Give me some nice blur on my crack here. And then one thing that we can do as well is I'm going to go ahead and select this. I'm going to do a outer glow. And right now it's orange. I don't want orange. I want just white. And we'll do it to transparency. And we'll change our size. And then what is it? Is it range? Yeah, my range. And my spread, I don't want very much spread. Maybe increase my size a little bit. And we'll see how this right here looks. This is a very noisy texture right now, and so I don't know if I'll end up going with this, but I can very easily repaint my little cracks if I want to. And so what I'll do now is go ahead and save this again. And let's see. We'll save that just like that. Now we'll go back into Unreal, and let me see if I can make the viewport bigger for you guys. I don't really need that modes anymore. And so here we go. Now we got that, and I'm going to go to my content browser. I'm going to re-import my texture. And now we have a little bit of glow on the outside of this, and we have a very uniform outline going around this centerpiece. And so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to add in some distortion. So, you know, let's imagine that this whole material is really hot, right? But say we don't want to use particles to do a lot of heat distortion. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make me a distortion texture. And so I'll go to New, and I'll just do 1024 by 1024. It's probably way too big for what I'm doing it for. So I'll go to and do, say, 512 by 512. Okay. And I'm just going to go to Filter, and I'm going to Render Clouds. And, oh, no, it's not Control F, Alt Control F. So I'm just going to keep rendering clouds with Alt Control F until I find something that I like. I think that looks nice. And so I also want to bring this down quite a bit more, not quite to black. I've got it at, I don't know, this maybe 10% or something. And there we go. I think that looks, I'll keep going. Okay, that looks nice enough. And so now what I'm going to do is I am going to, let's see here. I'm going to go to Filter again and Filter Gallery. And I'm going to do paint daubs on it because that's one of my favorite ones. I'm just going to kind of blur these together into some nice big swaths here. And I've just got brush type on simple. We could do sparkle, that looks nice too. I'm just do simple though in this case for the brush type. I'm going to go to OK. And from here, if I go to offset, and let's see, 256 by 256, there is a slight line on this, so it's not quite tiled the way that I'd want it to be. But I'm just going to grab my smudge brush, I think that is, or smudge tool. I'm just going to kind of click around on this and kind of remove that line. I don't know if you can see it there on the YouTube stream. And comment hello if you can actually hear me here. This is my first stream on YouTube, and so let me know if you guys can actually see what I'm doing here. So, okay. Anyway, back to it. So I went ahead and removed my seams, and there we go. Did that. Now I'm going to save as. I'm going to go into textures, and let's see, do I have noise here? And so I'm going to save it as a PNG. I'm going to call this FXT Billowed Noise 01. There we go. And now back in Photoshop, what I'm going to do is import. Oh, hello guys. Thank you for commenting. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to import my material here, and I believe that was billowed noise. And so I'm going to go ahead and just save all while I'm at it, just in case I crash. And all right, so there we go. going to go ahead and do my billowed noise. Going to bring that in. And so here's a very quick and easy way to do texture distortion or UV distortion. So we're going to multiply this right here by a scalar value, and we'll call this distortion. And I'm going to make this like 0.02 for my distortion amount. And then I'm going to bring in a texture coordinate with U on my keyboard, or U and click, bring in an add with A and click. I'm going to connect these two right here, so the multiply to the add, the texture core to the add, and I'm going to add that to the UVs. It is going to throw an error because I'm connecting a float 3 to a float 2. Shouldn't do that. So I'm just going to grab the red channel here. And then from here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a panner by pressing P on my keyboard. And then let's go ahead and pan this at like 0.02 or actually 0.1 and maybe 0.05 or something like that. And now we can see here in the viewport, I have some nice shimmery distortion going on. And so we're going to use this as it might look kind of like a heat wave going across the ground. And so now we've got all this moving along. And then one thing that we can do is, just as a test, we could multiply this particular texture by this texture, and we'll do maybe into opacity, and that right there will create varying glow strengths and such. And so let's go ahead and apply that, and we'll see how it looks inside of the game. And so now we've got some nice looking heat wave stuff, and since it's a heat wave, we might want it to pan faster. Oh, go back here, and my material, and so maybe I'll do like 0.3, 0.5. There we go, that's looking quite a bit more like I'd expect it to. Maybe we want to up our distortion strength to 0.05. Let's see how that changes it. Okay. And so that might be a little bit much on the distortion end. So we'll do maybe 0.4. One of the things is perhaps, oh, nope, 0.03. There we go, not 0.4. So let's go ahead and save that again. And now we've got something like this, but that might be a little bit strong. So maybe what I want to do is Control Z. And actually, you know what? I'll just go ahead and render another cloud here. Let's see, clouds, and keep rendering, something like that, maybe. Yeah, okay. I'm going to do Control L on my keyboard. I'm going to bring some of these values right here down. And I'm going to move these levels so that this is a bit stronger. And now we're going to get some really noisy heat waves, because I think that with what I was just doing, it was probably a bit too, what would you say, like blurred. It wasn't sharp enough for a heat wave. And so we'll go ahead and roll with this right here. And so I'll just go ahead and save as, and I'll do FXT noise 04. And it's kind of similar to this noise 2 that I have right there. So we'll go ahead and do that, and now let's import in some new noise. There we go, noise 04. And I'm going to go ahead and save all. And now I'll go inside of my material. I'm going to do noise 04, something like that. Okay, that looks a lot more like a heat wave to me. So maybe I can get by with, say, 0.2 as my pan rate. And I'm going to go ahead and undo multiplying to my material to lower the opacity, and let's just get the full glow out of everything. And so I'm going to go ahead and save that. And now we have something like this, and I'd say that because it's sharper, it certainly looks more like heat waves panning across the ground. And so we've got that, and let's see what it looks like unlit. Maybe you can see it a little bit better. I'm not sure. I'm looking on my other screen at YouTube and it's kind of dark, but I guess that might be YouTube compression or something. And so here we go. So we've got our nice little heat waves going across the ground. We've got some nice cracks coming out of this. And I'm not really a huge fan of this big line that I have right here. Maybe I should have it not hollowed out in the center. And so what we can do is go back to this, and I'll go ahead and just backspace, something like that. And so all I did was I control-clicked on the layer. Because it's transparent, it's going to select only what I currently have inside that layer. And so it'll auto do the selection, and I hit control backspace to fill in a white texture or white color there. And so I'm going to go ahead and save as again, PNG, go back to my textures, my cracks, save, yep. Okay. Let's go ahead and minimize that. I'm going to go back to my content browser and re-import this. And now we have this right here. So now let's think about how we can break up this big fissure that I have right here. And of course, I've seen stuff on like Twitter. You can do like some parallax occlusion mapping or something and do some Z depth buffer crap to get it to look like it's kind of sunk into the ground. I'm not really going to take the time to do that for two reasons. One, I don't know how to do it. And the other reason, I want this stream to go kind of fast here. And so from here, we're going to try and break up these colors right here. So one of the things I can do is I can create a mask from just this thing right here, or just this big fissure inside of Photoshop. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to my green channel. I'm going to Control-Shift-I to select everything else but the centerpiece. And then I'm going to fill it in with, let's see. Come on. Is it going to work? Let's see. Will it let me paint in here? Let's see what's going on. I'll turn off my effects. And I always have trouble with this, trying to figure out how to get it to let me paint in a particular channel. Let's see here. Let's go ahead and hide all that. You know what? I think that perhaps I need to merge all of my layers. So I'm going to go ahead and merge all of my layers. How do I do that here? Where is it at? Group layers. I just had it not so long ago. Merge down maybe? Sure. Merge down again. Unlock that. And now I'm going to go into my green channel and hopefully hit backspace. And there we go. I guess I had to merge my layers. And so I'm going to create a completely black background for that. And now if I show my RGB, we can see that I have just a white texture here in the center, and I have a pink texture in the background of purple. One of the things I did lose on accident here would be my selection. Okay, so actually I'm going to Control-Shift-I again. And what I can do is I can do a select, modify, and feather. And let's see. Oh, I just off-clicked. So select, modify, expand by, say, 15 pixels. And then I'm going to select, modify, feather by, say, 10 pixels. And now I believe if I control backspace, I will have now a glow. And so that's one way that you can create glows around objects. So if you go in, you expand your selection, then you feather the selection, it'll create a nice glow around that object. And the reason why it's green right now is because I'm working only in the green channel. So we can see that if I turn off both red and blue, this is what I'm left with in the green channel. But I'm not sure that I want that in the green channel. I'm kind of messing up here. Yeah, so I'll select that just like that, and I'll go into the red channel and then backspace. because I want this green to be a specific mask for me. So okay, we got that. This looks like crap, but we're getting there. So let's go ahead and save as again. Save as my fissure. Yep, okay. I'm gonna go into Unreal. I'm going to re-import this. I'm gonna have to go into my material. It's got some cool looking colors here. I'm gonna go into my material. I'm gonna use the red as the opacity for everything. And then I'm going to bring in my green channel. And if we preview my green channel, we can see that all I have here is just this one fissure. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to multiply this right here times this. Then we're going to multiply it by 2 to bring it back up to a higher range. I believe it brings it back up to the 0, 1 range. And then I'm going to plug that into opacity. So let me stop previewing. And so, okay. So yeah, so now we have the fissure, and it's got some interesting motion inside of it. And so now what I need to do is I need to add, or actually maybe multiply. And let's see how I can do this. If I multiply that, I don't know if that will work because there's so much black right there. Yeah, so I guess I will just have to add in my opacity. We'll see if this works. Might not. I might need to break the channel up even more. Yeah, that's what it's looking like. And so what I need to do is, I guess, technically erase anything in the red channel. So there we go. Let me erase that there. And I'll erase inside the blue channel. And that's okay enough, I suppose. This is a really bad texture at this point. And so I'll go ahead and go back to PNG, save as, yes. And then I'll go back to browse and re-import this texture. And now we have something like this. And what I want to do is add my red channel and my green channel together and multiply that. And so now I'm adding all my channels together. And okay, yeah, this is looking bad. It doesn't look quite like I expected. Could just be the material preview. We'll see here. Okay, yeah, we can't even hardly see the fissure anymore as I had hoped. So yeah, that looks like crap. So I'll just backspace, backpedal. We'll go back into green and do that. Or just leave it. Yeah, whatever. So I'll do that, and I'm going to save it again. And so see, I mean, this right here is the process, right? So you don't always get everything right from the first, start or whatever. And you kind of have to go back and tune and finesse and do whatever you got to do to get things going. And it's just a bunch of trial and error. And so I haven't done this beforehand on the stream or anything like that. And let's go back to lit. And so now we've got that. And we've got this really bright glow, and perhaps we should tone down our HDR a bit. And so we'll go here to our parameter. We'll do 2.5. Something like that. And let's see. Would still be nice if I could take into account this right here. And so let's go ahead and let's see. I have that separated. Yeah, I just don't think it would work because of what I have in there. I would need to separate the layers completely. But okay, so either way, I've got that, and I'm not going to take the time to separate them right this second. And so this right here is what we've built out in the last 20 minutes. Doesn't look very good, but now what we're going to do is we're going to start adding in some additional effects. We're going to start adding in the actual particles here that are going to make this look cool. And so let's go ahead and crank open VectorayGen. And so if you don't know, VectorayGen is our software that we create. That's why we're doing VFX software and tutorials, because we create software as well. And so this right here is the software VectorayGen, and all it does is it allows you to create vector fields very quickly. And so all I'm going to want is, like, let's say that we want some sparks, and they're going to come out of this fissure right here in particular. So we'll have some around the area as well. But we just want some nice turbulence and various colored particles, GPU particles, to come out of this crack. And so the way that we're going to do that to get some cool motion is I'm going to bring in a noise node. I'm going to double click it. Let me go to a new project to reset my view actually. And so from here, I'm going to go ahead and go into noise, and I'm going to hit Control A on my keyboard to show my vectors here. And let me make my viewport bigger, and I'll show my bounds as well. And from here, I'm going to go ahead and change my seed a little bit. I'm going to up my octaves to 10, and I'm going to play with this until I get some motion that I like. Maybe up my frequency a bit, and that's looking pretty nice. And one of the things I want to do is I'm going to want to, let's see, multiply in. No, actually, I think I'm going to add, let's see, what do you call it? Translate. So I'm going to add in a translate node. Actually, I don't think I need to add it. I just need to plug it in here. What this is going to allow me to do is add a certain length to all these vectors in a certain axis. So now we can see that if I want the noise to go upwards, all I have to do is just click on Z and slide it upwards. And now I have turbulence that is going upwards. And we can lower my frequency so that we get more wavy noise, and we'll keep lowering that a little bit. And maybe change my amplitude to something a little bit bigger. Let's see my gain. I don't want to up my gain too much. I want to up my game, but not my gain. And so there we go. I think that there looks nice. We got some cool motion, some nice swirls here, and I think that's nice. So I'm going to go ahead and double click on translate again. I'm going to export my vector field, and I'm going to go to data and VFX, and I'm just going to save it here, and I'm going to call this upward soft turbulence. There we go, and now my vector field is exported. I can minimize VectorayGen, and from here, what I'm going to do is import that, and so let's do upward turbulence. And now what we can do is we can create a nice little texture that we'll put on our, what do you call it? That we'll put on our GPU particles. So let's go ahead and fill that in with a black background, and let's make sure that it's actually black. It is. And so I'm going to go to my layers. I'm going to create a new layer, and let me select a new paintbrush here. And all I want is I just want kind of like a streak or something like that. And so we'll have like a nice glow. And grab my little pen here, and just gonna kind of create a nice line. Well, you know what? I guess I could just click Shift and drag a line here. And now we have just a very simple little glow. And I haven't done this before, but I've heard people using the minimum option. And so, that's not doing anything. Okay, so we'll just leave it as that. And that is a very basic streak. So I'm going to save as. I'm going to go to textures, and I'll call this in sparks. Let me go to PNG. I'll call this just FX Sparklet 02. So we'll save that. And we could come in and add some additional detail and stuff to this a bit later if we want to. Hello, Andre, I believe is how you say your name. I just saw your comment. Greetings, welcome to the stream. 7 of you watching, 8 of you watching now. It's pretty good for our first stream here. And so we're going to go ahead and save that. And now let's go ahead and import this new texture. And we add it under Spark. Let's go ahead and bring in my Sparklet. I'm going to create a new material from this. Here we go. And I'm going to make this an additive texture. I'm going to make it unlit. And I'm going to break that link. I'm going to bring this into emissive. And actually, I need a particle color. I'm going to go ahead and multiply my color by the particle's color main input. I'm going to drag in my opacity into each. And actually, technically, I could just drag in this white one right here. And let's see. Okay. Nope, wrong one. There we go. Okay, hang on, I'm going to break this link. I'm really confused here. Let's plug this into emissive color. Okay, remove some of these links. And now bring this down into there. And now we got it. Okay, and so this right here is our basic sparklet texture. And I think it's really uniform, but we can fix that in just a little bit. And so now we've got that. And let's see here. Save all again. And now we're going to go ahead and create a new particle system, and we're going to call this Fissure Sparks 01. And now I'm going to bring this in, and I'm going to say FXT Sparklet Matte, I believe it was. And let's see here. So we got these, and I'm going to go to required. Let's make this a bit bigger. I'm going to change the sort mode, or actually screen alignment, to velocity. I'm going to go to my type data, and I'm going to click new GPU sprites, and I'm going to create some cool spawns. So let's say like 150 here. And then maybe we want our initial size to be like 5, or between 5 and maybe 10. Actually, you know what? We probably want this to be quite small. So we'll do between 5 and 1. So we have this right here. And so now we have varying lengths. Some are round, some are long. And that's going to be looking nice. And now we're going to kind of complement the colors that we had beforehand. And actually, one of the things I probably want to do is I want to bring in this right here. And we're going to do the HDR method again to give us some nice glows here. And I'm going to set an intensity, and we'll call this intensity, and we'll do maybe 2. Plug that into our intensity multiplier. Now we have a nice glow going around this, and it doesn't look so flat. We're going to go back to our sparks, and that's weird. Whenever I minimize that, it goes over. Okay, so we're going to throw this right here into the world, and this right here is actually extremely small. Smaller than I expected. So I'm going to do maybe 25 to 25, maybe 15 to 15. And one thing I want to do is I want to spawn this in a line. So let's say in the x-axis we want it to go 100 by negative 100. And we'll do a width of maybe 15 and negative 15 inside of y. We aren't going to have any z depth. And let's go ahead and select our bounds. We'll set fixed bounds. And we're going to clean this up in just a minute here. Just want to kind of get it set up. And so we're going to rotate this particle system, kind of like that. And these colors are really blown out. So perhaps what we could do is have a black fissure and have the fissure be really dark, or maybe a lot less light than this. And we'll have just these cracks right here that are illuminated the way that they are. And so we've got that. And let's go ahead and go back to, nope, not VectorayGen. let's go back into my fissure sparks. I'm going to go back into color over life, and let's make these like a deeper blue here. Let's bring these up a little bit too. Something like that. And now let's do size by life, and we're going to scale these in over time. So we're going to make our size by life go from 1 to 0. And then I'll make this right here, say maybe 10. And you know what, first off, I'm going to go back to this, and I'm going to create a different spark. I don't like that line that we have here. So what I'm going to do is I'm just grab my little tablet, and I'm going to paint a little bit here. And let me go to my brush settings. Tip dynamics, size jitter, I don't want that, but I do want pin pressure. And then I want to transfer opacity, and that's pin pressure. And so now, there we go. So now I'm just going to kind of paint a little sparklet. Let's kind of fill in the rest of the texture. Okay, so we have something like this. There we go. And let's kind of round this off. And now we have a nice fluffy little spark. Something like that. Okay. And let's give it like a nice hot point over here. Go into the full white zone in this area over here. Something like that. Okay. And so now I'm going to save that as my sparklet PNG. Save as sparklet. And then we can just re-import it into Unreal. Like so. And so now we have these little things right here. I'm going to change my size by life, initial size. So we'll do back to like 25, and maybe we even go over maybe something like 40 in some cases. And then we'll do say 5 on that, and 20, and then we'll do length of 10. So we have something that looks like that. Might not be the best. We'll see. Okay, so now we have that. One thing I can do is I can kind of blow these colors out a little bit to give them a real spark feel. And so let's go here, and I'll just do times 5, times 5, and then of course that times 5 is that. And then, which I don't know if this is going to blow it out too much. We'll be able to see. Times 5. So yeah, that might be a bit too big starting off, but we'll see. And let me actually drag this particle system over here to the bush so I can see what I'm doing. So there we go. So what I'm trying to get is I want some nice colors like these over here. And so I'll quickly show you what this is if you haven't seen it. And so this right here is an anomaly that goes off, and whenever it hits the bottom, it goes up and expands and does a bunch of cool stuff. And so what we'll do is we're going to create some nice sparkly colors similar to this, maybe similar to the blue that comes out in that ring. It's kind of what we might be aiming for. And so all of that is controlled using vector fields. And we'll go back to our little fissure now. And so let's bring this back. And I think those sparks are a bit too big. It's also quite noisy. And so what I can do is I can go back to my layer and filter gallery. And we can do paint daubs to keep some of the detail, but compress it a lot. So now we have a lot less noise, but we still have some nice detail there. So we're going to save that, and PNG, go back to my sparklet, and we'll save that. Yep, okay. Something like so. And go back here, and I'm going to re-import again. And now I'm going to go back to my sparks here. and I'm gonna decrease this size quite a bit. Actually, I'm not gonna do velocity align, I'm just gonna do square. So now we have that, and I'm gonna do maybe 10 or so. And I also want to do, and the reason I'm not doing velocity is because I want to be able to rotate these randomly, something like so. And then I'm going to bring in my vector field, local vector field, and let's see, we're going to bring in my upward soft turbulence, and we're going to do a tightness of maybe 0.8 or so. And one thing I'm going to want to do is I'm going to change the rotation rate of this vector field. Nope. Oh, go away. Okay, so I'm going to want to rotate the vector field with a rotation rate, and we're going to want to rotate it in Z. We can preview this by going to View and Vector Fields, and I think that's a bit too much motion, so we'll do 0.2, and so we've got that, and we could do maybe 0.5 in this, but the problem with that is then it won't be upward motion all the time. And so if you got something like that, let's maybe do 500 of these, and we're going to create a longer length, and so we'll do 500, negative 500. And then I'm going to make sure that my vector field is tiled. And so let's go here and we'll do tile X, Y, and Z. So we have something like that. And now let's check this out over here. And so now we have my particle, and we're going to put it over this fissure, something like that, which is not perfect. It's not going to be perfectly aligned because the fissure isn't straight, but that's okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to rotate that just enough, and I'm going to go back into Photoshop, and I'm going to select that fissure right there in the green channel, and I'm going to control backspace. And so let's see here, and yeah, so something like that. We could have just an outline, and we'll see how that looks. And actually, one thing that I can do is I can select this right here and do my modify again, and we'll expand this out 15 pixels, and then we will, which actually one of the bad things is, you know what, and I'm going to just recreate this texture from scratch, because bump it. I'm tired of looking at it. So what I'll do is, let me go to my channels, select all, do this, we'll do backspace, erase it all, and then I'll come in and I will paint in a new fissure. So last time I used a rigid lasso to build out the fissure. This time I'm actually going to hand paint it because I think that I can get some better results that way. And so I need to go to my brush, and let's see, brush tip, and we want to change spacing all the way to 1 in this case, so that we have a very smooth line. And then from here, what I'm going to do is go to my shape dynamics. So we're going to want to do some shape dynamics. We want our pin pressure to control that. We don't want transfer particularly. We might want some opacity jitter, but I don't think so. Okay. So now with my pin, I'm going to come in and, oh, so it is doing transfer. I don't want transfer. So I'm just going to create some nice little cracks here, so it can be as jagged as I want it to be. And this right here is giving me a lot more control over what I'm doing, rather than just using the lasso select that I was doing earlier. So here we go. We've got some nice cracks coming out of there. And, you know, let's get some big stuff going a little bit too. So we'll kind of come over here and do something like that. And let's go ahead and create a branch off over here. Something that's kind of expanding outwards. And we'll expand that one out as well. And we'll kind of bring this out like that. Maybe we can get some more branches going on in here and some connected lines, something like that. Oh, nope. Windows being a turd. Yeah. I wish that it didn't do that. I forgot how to turn that off. Let me see. Windows Ink. Actually, no. Wacom settings. If you have this issue, it is Windows Ink destroying you. Let's see, where's that? Pen, tablet. There used to be a use Windows Ink option. Mapping. Okay, there we go. Use Windows Ink. Turn that crap off if you were painting, guys. If you're painting on Windows 10 with a tablet, turn Windows Ink off. So now I can click as many times as I want, and it's not going to produce that error. But I think one of the problems is, perhaps, if I turn off Windows Ink, then I think that my stylus doesn't work anymore. There's some workaround, so I guess I gotta turn it back on. That sucks, because Windows Ink is no good for Photoshop. Then again, they say Photoshop is not meant for painting textures. Did I break it? I might have just broke it, peeps. Use Windows Ink. Okay. Oh, I need to go to Photoshop. There we go. And that should bring it back on. Yeah. I need to fix my Wacom stuff next time around. And so this right here is looking like a nice fissure. One of the only problems I would say is that it's rather round, but we might be able to fix that. Let's see if we can fix that. So if I go to Filter, Other, Minimum, and then I do Squareness, and then let's reduce this radius quite a bit. Yeah, see something like that? So we're doing minimum with squareness, and I guess one of the issues is, yes, it's just 1 pixel. So we'll do that. And now that kind of hardens out some of our edges here. And I suppose that we could use a square brush to get some of that other goodness coming in, but I'm going to go and bring out my crack paintbrush again. So it's just going to make sure that I have shape dynamic size jitter on. I'm going to make sure that I have angle jitter on, and I don't want my size to jitter that much. So I'm just going to come in here and paint in some extra detail cracks and such. We don't want it too noisy like the last one. And it's okay if it comes off here on the edge of your texture. Most of that stuff won't be seen anyway. And I'm going to come in here and just erase, but for some reason my eraser is, it's just erasing transparency. So what I'll do is put another layer behind it, and we'll bring up my eraser, and I'll just kind of erase off some of these ones that are going out into the edge of the texture. We'll clean this up so that it doesn't look as square. Clean some of that up. We'll come in here and clean that stuff up too. Just clean that up. And one thing I can do is come in here and kind of sculpt this right here to be like a thicker line. I can also, I'll use my pen for this while I'm erasing, is I'll come in here and just kind of like chip away at some of these edges. This right here will help take away some of the roundness as well. One of the things is with this particular brush, I don't have my settings on. And so yeah, now we can come in here and, yeah, there we go. So I just want to erase some of this right here and create some harder lines. And that way that we don't have such a smooth crack here. So something like that's fine. And so, yeah, we're just going to do that. Kind of like so. And just realize that this right here is going to be blown up pretty big on the plane that you have it on inside of your level. And see, let's just kind of come up here and continue shaping this up a bit, creating some harder edges. And it's not like the hardest of edges that I could be creating, I guess, with this particular eraser. And I guess that it might be okay if it's kind of like jagged on the edge as well, because you're thinking this is kind of coming out of the ground. And so, you know, you might want some jagged edges. Rocks are jagged, that kind of thing. And then one of the things I may be able to do, which we'll see, is what happens if I swap my colors, go back to my brush with the cracks, and we add in some big cracks over everything else. So I hadn't thought about doing this. This is a good way to break up some of the colors here. And so now we've got something like that. And we can come in here and add a little bit more detail. So maybe we want it to show that maybe the rocks below are what's glowing the most right here. And instead of it being a fissure in the ground, it's more of rocks and such glowing. So now we've got something like that. I think this is a much cleaner texture. There's less noise than what we had previously. And this right here will probably look nicer. So we're going to go back here, and let's go to crack, fissure, 1, save, yes, okay. And now I'm going to go to this right here, content, and let's import this thing. So something like that. And I think that that right there looks quite a bit nicer. And I'm going to go into my material. I've got some stuff going on here that I don't really need. So I'm just cleaning it up. Let's see, I don't need to add those two together anymore. So there we go. Just bring that in as the red channel. And bring this right here in. And there we go. So now we have our crack. And I think that's looking nice. And so we can also kind of change this color up a little bit to be a bit darker, perhaps. We'll see how this looks over here in the world. And so it's losing some of our glow that we had. We can bring this up to maybe 6 in intensity. And nope, so maybe we should just boost this color back up. Something like that. And I'm going to convert this to a parameter. Call it color, so that I can see what's going on here. And open up my color wheel. And if I compile this, I should be able to change this color in real time now. Yeah, there we go. So now we can just kind of like play with it until we get something that we want. Maybe we'll do like a orange or fissure. That might make a little bit more sense than blue. Yeah, something like that. That's looking pretty good. Yeah. Okay, so wait till I get my perfect color here. I think that looks really nice. And so now what we can do is we can go to my sparks and we can change this right here to a red color, deep orange, that kind of thing. So I'll go over here and change this right here to a deeper orange as well. Maybe actually fade it off into some reds or something, deeper reds. So let's go to browse all and I'm going to save everything. And let's see, so now we have this. So we have some nice little things coming up. One of the things that I don't like is there's like this hole in my sparklet texture. And so perhaps what I could do is just do translucent, which I don't know if I'd recommend doing translucent, but in this case, I guess it could work. We'll see. And so you know what? I think that it's black because I'm blowing my colors out in the particle system and I'm using HDR. So we'll do like 0.2. So, because I don't think you can go above 1 within that, within your colors. Yeah, okay. And so now I can go back into this. I can change this back to additive. And then, and actually, I might do pre-multiplied alpha because, and the reason I'm going to do pre-multiplied alpha is because I'm on a black background, or sorry, I don't want this to get covered up too much by all of this other distortion, or sorry, by all these other colors. Because if we have alpha going over top of this particular texture, we're not going to be able to see the particles as much as we want to. And so with pre-multiplied alpha, you can kind of extract your colors out, or it looks better. I don't really know how to describe pre-multiplied alpha. There is a GDC talk on it from Julian Love from Diablo, or from Blizzard rather, and he talks about using pre-multiplied alpha. And so now we've got that. Nope, I don't want that. And I'll not save that project. And go back to my fissure sparks here. And I'll do like 0.5 maybe, 0.1. And I'm just gonna kind of tweak these colors here. It's kind of hard to do it so that you can see both on the screen and here. I normally work on 2 screens instead of 1, but we'll see here. And so now I'm just going to kind of edit this 0.2, 0.5, 0.3, 0.01, something like that. And I might actually take out this HDR texture stuff. We'll just use some default stuff, our default method for making glowy textures. And let me boost this up to like 20, and I'll do 2, 5, 1, 10. There we go, something like that. And so then maybe what I want to do, which I think with pre-multiplied alpha, let me turn off size by life. Yeah, so we can get some nice darker colors here. And so, but I'll change my size by life back on, and I'll do color over life. What we'll do is we'll make it so that this right here is 0.5, and I'll change my color to a dark red, something like that. And maybe we can do like 0.2, so it comes out really hot, and then it quickly fades off into a different color. And one thing we could do is we could increase the lifetime of some of these particles, and we could reduce the spawn rate to maybe 100. And we want to reduce this size maybe down to 5, and then to 2, something like that. And so now we can maybe boost this rate back up to say 500. And one thing I'll do is I'll turn off this initial location from now, and I'll just do a location cylinder, and we'll do maybe 500 as my starting radius. So here we go. So now we just have, in general, a large section. And so we'll do that. And maybe I'll go over here, back to this, and I'll do, say, 600. Let's boost the spawn rate to maybe 650. And there we go. Let's go ahead and set our fixed bounds again. So something like that. And so now we have a bunch of cool little sparks coming out of the ground. Okay. You have to reboot your PC, turning off that Use Windows Ink checkbox in the Wacom tablet. Interesting. Okay. I will make sure next time that I turn it off and then do it. And sorry if I read your comment late. But I will certainly make sure to do that next time. And so, okay, I think that this right here is looking quite nice from a spark perspective. I think it's looking pretty hot. It's looking fuming. And maybe one of the things that we want to do now is perhaps we want to bring in like some little tiny fires or something around this. And so we're going to go ahead and create a we'll do 1024 for now, but we can scale it down in Engine. And so let's go ahead and turn this back. And I'm going to go into my brush properties. I'm going to go back and select this guy again. And just make sure, shape dynamics. I wish that my brushes would save. I don't particularly know how to make them save. Okay. And so let's go ahead and test that. There we go. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to paint a little fire texture here. And I'm not particularly an artist whenever it comes to painting fire. So I'm just going to paint something that looks kind of interesting from a fiery perspective. So we'll have something kind of like this, perhaps. We'll see. And let's do some of this right here. So I'll adjust my layers down a little bit. And then I'll go to, I wonder what minimum would do for this. We'll see. Preserve roundness. And so get some nicer, which that brings in some decent little shapes there. There we go, something like that. Maybe now I can come back up here, bring this right here down to maximize my range again. Maybe do something like that. We'll see. I'm not sure if this will work. Yeah, that's why you lost pressure in Photoshop. Uncheck, use Windows Ink and reboot. It'll work much better. Frickin' Microsoft. You know what? Microsoft, they're a good company for some things and they suck for other things. They mess up a lot of integrations. Not to mention, since we develop software, we have so many issues with Windows sometimes. It not wanting to install the software, or saying that it's bad, or this or that, whatever. Security certificates, all that crap. It's a scam. Anyway, back to it. Let's go to textures, and I don't have a fire folder, so I'll just do fire. I'll call this fire or something once I go into it. So we'll just say FXT fire 01. Okay. And then what we're going to do is we're going to distort this texture and make it all pretty. And thank you. I appreciate that. I'm glad that you think it's a pleasure to watch me work. This is like the rough, uncut version of my tutorials, or of our tutorials, I should say, since there's going to be other people doing tutorials on the channel soon. We're going to have a whole website dedicated to tutorials and such. It's going to be called VFX4games.com. It's not out yet, so don't go to it. But it'll be out there soon. Tutorials, courses, you name it. Everything visual effects for Unreal and Unity and the whole 9 yards. So we'll have some professionals doing tutorials, which I guess you could say I'm a professional. I've done studio work and such. But anyway, yeah, this is raw, uncut. I haven't done this particular effect before, so I don't really know what I'm doing here. And in particular, I'm just kind of going off my mind and thinking about how this is going to work out. And so we're going to textures and fire, open, and let's see, I'll just create a material. And normally also I'd have this organized a whole lot better, but I can't be arsed right now. And let's see here. So what I'm going to do is we're going to want to make this, and I'm not going to do alpha composite for this. I'm going to do a additive material, and I'm going to do unlit. And what we're going to do is we're going to bring in a texture coordinate. We're going to bring in another texture for my distortion. And then we're going to bring in a couple of other textures. So let's see. So we got my billowed noise right here. And so this billowed noise, which if we preview this, so start previewing node. So we can see that we've got some like really nice little billowed shapes here. we're going to use that. Actually, stop previewing. We're going to use that to add in some extra noise. So we're going to multiply these together. So multiply it. And so we'll just do this. Plug that in. Something like so. And then I'm going to bring in my texture coordinate and we'll do 0.1. Or sorry, not 0.1. Just UV tunneling of 1. And actually I need a panner in between here too. And so I'm going to do, say, 0.2 and 0.2, and then I'm going to copy that. I'm going to do, say, negative 0.05 and 0.01 or something. And I'm going to make this half the texture size. So just like so. And then what we're going to do is we can look at this and we can preview our motion here. And so, oh, I need to change this to real time. And so now we have some motion that looks kind of like that. It's not terrible. It's not too bad. That should give us some nice motion once we multiply it times this right here. So we can preview this. So now we have something like that. And it's going to give us some nice flame looks. And so we can go ahead and plug this into our emissive color. I'm going to stop previewing this node like so. And then what we can do is maybe we can do a black body as our temperature. And so we'll do, which I believe this is in Kelvin. And so if we want fire, which one thing we can look up, we can see, hang on, I'm in my other tab real quick. Color temperature. Let's see, low value, warm colors, soft fluorescence, compact stuff. So candle flame, match flame. So we probably want like what, 3000 or so for our Kelvin levels. And if you didn't know that that's how black body worked, I'm pretty sure that's how it works. So we'll do like 3000 for my temperature. And now we've got black body. And I believe I want to multiply. I don't use black body node that often. This should give us some nice little gradients here. And so now we plug that in. And, oh, no, I did 300. 3000. There we go. And so we've got something like that. And it's not super nice. It's not super great. But it's not terrible. So, but one of the things we're going to do now is we're going to add in our, what do you call it? We're going to add in some distortion here. So we're going to use my quick and dirty distortion method that we used for the heat waves on the crack that we have in our level. And so actually we need to add that to a texture coordinate again, just like so. We need to add distort and like 0.02, like with this, most people, they use like a constant bias scale. I don't have any particular reason that I don't do that, but I just like this mode or method because it's faster to me. And of course we need to multiply it by only 1 and distort, add the texture coordinates. And so maybe we do need something higher in numbers. Let's see here. Why? Oh, duh, it's because I'm not panning. That would be why. Let's see, it's a 0.1 minus 0.1, something like that. And now we're going to need something a whole lot faster than that if we want some nice panning fire. And so we could do like, and we probably want it to pan in the direction that the colors here are going. So we'll do like 0.4, 0.6. So something like this. And so there you go. That there's how you get some nice fiery motion. One of the downsides to this is that we have our material is going off grid. And so what I think we can do, and so if we preview texture coordinates, the way that it works is you are mapping the pixels from this texture sample to this texture coordinate, to my knowledge. And so what we can do is we can offset this texture coordinate by default. And if we offset it down below, we can ensure that this fire starts down lower and it won't get as distorted on the edges as much. Because I like that motion, but I don't like how much it's creating clipping around the edges up here of the shader. And so what we're going to do is we're going to add, and what I probably want to do is I want to do a component mask. And so we can bring in this component mask, and let's just make sure that this is the right channel. I think it should be red channel because we want to edit the up and down. Nope. So it's going to be the green channel. And so we want to go ahead and mask out the red channel as well because we want to append them afterwards. Nope, not that. I don't know what that is. Append. My E key was stuck on my keyboard. So we're going to append these two right here. And what I'm going to do is do that. And then what I'm going to do is, so we were adding 1. So what happens if we add 0.2? So we can just start previewing this. And what we want is we want to make this right here go up a little bit. And so if we do say 0.5, what's it looking like? Okay, so that does look like that's the right direction. If we added -5, we'll see that it should be black right here. And so all we're doing is we are offsetting, and we can preview this just to show you what's going on here. And so if we move it down, you can see that now the texture is offset. So we can see our texture coordinate right here. We have offset the texture. And so that's not as much as we want to offset it. We maybe want to do like -2. And that's a little bit too much because we're coming through at the bottom -0.05. I think that we can manage to get a little bit lower, and so we'll do 0.08. And there we go. I mean, it's not perfect. It's still a little bit much. So maybe we can do like 0.1. And of course, you know, we don't have to distort these UVs right here, because what I could do is I could just move this texture right here down to the bottom a little bit closer, but this is a way to do it through math just in case you don't want to go back into Photoshop and re-import and fix or whatever, and just in case that you need this texture to be in the center for some other material or something like that. And so this is not very bright, and so we'll try this HDR stuff again. I'm not completely sure. I still haven't mastered this node. Sorry if you can't read that. That's intensity. And I'll bring this up and I'll say 5. And we want this to be kind of bright here. And it looks like it's getting blown out or something. Some of these areas. Which is a shame. Which I don't know if this is just like a 420 thing or something. Yeah. Because it works on some things, but not on others. So I guess what I'll do is I will just do the old classic emissive bloom right here. And so I'll do an intensity of, say, 5. Something like that. There we go. So we got us a nice bright little fire. And I'll bring this up to like 0.15 in distortion. Because like I really want this nice motion going on that we have here. That looks pretty much like fire to me. And so what we can do now is we'll create a particle system. So particle system, we'll call this just fire. And let's set it out in the level. And we'll go here. And it should be playing in the level now, which it is. Okay. And we're going to go to our fire system. And did I save this material? Yes, I did. Fire matte. And let's see here. So we got this right here. This is a good way to create fire without flipbooks, by the way. And so we've got our size. We're going to do size by life. And let's make this right here a bit bigger so that I can see what I'm doing. We're going to start at, not at 0, we'll do like 0.25 in each axis. And we'll go to 0.1, maybe 0.5, 0.2. That way it seems like it kind of like explodes outwards. We'll do maybe 5, something like that. Or maybe 2. Nope, not 22, just 2. And then what we'll do here is we want to fade this down. And actually, one of the things we can do is we could actually do some subtraction of these pixels. So instead of making the fire smaller, which I'll show you one of the classic ways that you would do it. And then I'll show you what I think might be a better method for this particular fire. And so then you can just fade down to 0, and it looks all nice and dandy and whatever. And so it's kind of blown out. What we can do is we can add in a location, and we'll do a cylinder. And so we have something like that. And then one of the other issues that we're going to fix, so yeah, so we have something like that. This isn't Bruno, Travis. This is Jenga FX on the Discord. My name's Nick. So, but Bruno taught me a lot of what I know from all of his great stuff. Yeah. So, yep, not Bruno. I would say that's flattering though. That's very flattering. I'm glad that you think I'm Bruno. Yeah. Yep. So, okay. So, basically, from here, let me go back in, and I'm not sure if I'm going to use this, let's see, if I use this, what do you call it, node for the black body colors. But anyway, we'll increase this size by life to something like 5. There we go, we got some nicer motion coming along, and, which, I don't know, it depends. We have all these little cracks and stuff, right? And we might just want like smaller little fires along everything else. And so what we'll do is we'll go back in and we'll lower the size by life to about 2. And I'm going to change this velocity, and maybe actually what I could do is change in my drag, and we'll add in some drag to it. And one of the things that I want to do now is go ahead and solve this issue of every single little thing looks the same because of timing. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to add in a parameter, dynamic parameter, and now we're going to go into my fire material. And so if you ever watched the Diablo stuff by Julian Love, the GDC talk, he talks about doing UV offsets and such. It took me forever to figure this out, but it's actually very simple. So what we're going to do is we're going to create a dynamic parameter. And we're going to call this XY offset. And I guess if we're doing a dynamic parameter, I think that it go ahead and allocates memory for all the parameters, so we might as well use it. So we're going to have a separate offset in X. We're going to have a separate offset in Y. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to add in this offset here. And then I'm going to add in this offset here, just like so. And then I'm going to randomize these numbers inside the particle system. And so we've got this right here. And I also probably want to increase my speed up here maybe to 1 and 8. And so we can really get some good fire motion going, something that's faster. And you know what? Let's go ahead and randomize this as well. And so I'll just take this right here, copy that, paste it, and what I can do is, I guess I will just append these two, append the vectors, which I don't know if this will work specifically. We'll see. I'll plug that into coordinates, and there we go. So now we are utilizing maximum offsets, maximum randomness, and we'll go ahead and save that. And so now we can refresh our parameter. We see that it says X, it says Y, and from here I'm going to do a uniform. I'm going to just say from like 0.1 to 0.9, because if we go to 1 then it's just going to reset back to our default. We want to do spawn time only. And then for our Y emitter, we want to do spawn time only, uniform, and 0.05 and like 0.9. We'll do 0.05 here. And now, none of our fire looks the same. It's not at the same positions with anything. It's looking pretty good. And another thing that we could do is, I suppose that we could make these particle sprites static, right? We could have them static. We could do some vertex manipulation. You see where I'm going with this, right? We could do some vertex manipulation, or what would you call it? World position offset vertex manipulation? I don't know what you call it. Anyway, you do that and it makes cool static type fire rather than having all these like singular sprites coming out. Because one of the bad things about this is, obviously, look at it, it's ugly. One of the things here is we could do like, what am I doing, 5? And so we could kind of do that, make this say only spawn 10 of them. And what we can do now is, since we've got the dynamic parameter, we're going to go ahead and subtract some of these pixels here. And so we have our intensity and we have our black body node. But what we want to do is we want to take from this first before, and so we'll call this, and we don't need a parameter, we just want some subtraction. So I'm just going to subtract. And speaking of this, I learned this method from Bruno, Travis, if you're still here. I think that he actually uses a divide after this, but I have never seen a point to divide afterwards. Someone could probably tell me, but I think he does like subtract, then he divides something, and then it works. But I figured that if you just subtract the pixels that you want to subtract, it looks just as good. And so actually I think he does the division because he wants to fade off like the softness or something like that. So I think if you divide after this with a scalar parameter, you can control the fall off of your subtraction. But I don't really care about that right this second. So we'll do dissolve, and we'll go ahead and save this out. And what we can do is ensure that that's going to be looking right. Yep. And I will make sure that my default value for this is 0 so that we can keep it previewed. There we go. And so we've got that. And then inside of my dynamic parameter, we're going to want to show a constant curve. Let's go ahead and refresh this just so that we can see that it says dissolve. And expand. We'll add 2 points. Expand all, 0, 0. We'll expand all again. And at a value of 1, we want to make it go to 1. And now we can see that we kind of fade out. And look at that. That's some damn fire if I ever saw some fire. It does not look too shabby. And the cool thing is because we have the distortion offsetting, the fire doesn't dissolve at exactly the right rates, or exactly at the same rates. And so we have that. But one of the things I'm really disappointed in is the colors of this fire. And so one thing that we can do, which this is going to be quite nice for it, I'll show you how you can color a texture within Photoshop without it looking like ass. And technically, if I was using 420, I would use the curve atlas options, but I'm in 419, so I can't use that, I don't think. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a gradient map. Now we can see that we're mapping colors to this gradient in the background. And what I'm going to do is, which this sucks because I don't have my saved fire gradients, so I have to make a new one. And so from here, I'm going to just swap these two. So we're going to do that. And then I'm going to change this, which never ever use complete white in your gradients or colors or whatever, because it looks bad. And so from there we're going to start out with yellow, and then we're going to quickly go out to maybe like a bright orange or something. And we're going to bring this in, and we can see that we only have one little highlight right there. We might need to fix that. And so then we can come here and let's go ahead and bring in some darker colors. Maybe, let's see here. Something like this. Come on. Trying to figure it out. I realize that these are not the optimum colors for fire. One thing I could do is probably go on the internet and color pick some fire. Something like that. And what we'll do is I will move this backwards a bit. We can move this gradient up. No, that's kind of ugly. So we'll do something like that. And one thing I can do is kind of help us bring out some of these highlights. And maybe I want to bring that out a bit, lower this back even more, something like that. And here we go. Something like so. And I wonder what would happen if we added something like that into it. Yeah, so we could kind of bring out some cooler shapes if we added in darker colors in between the lighter colors, which is kind of interesting, I suppose, but it's not particularly nice, I don't think. So I'll go into this and I'll make this right here a little bit on the maybe a brighter yellow side. What's up, Roll? How's it going? Thanks for joining us on this fine Saturday of visual effects making and such. Okay, so I think that there is a pretty good texture. One thing we can do is we can go into my levels and I can change out the way some of this looks. And so perhaps we want a little bit more, what would you call it? A little bit more detail within the fire. So we can move that over a little bit. Now let's just save as, and I'll go to, oh, I was in the right folder. Let's see there. Spence. Thanks for joining. All right. So what's on the menu is right here. I am making a crack in the ground with some nice sparks coming out of it. And now I'm making the detail fire for fire coming out. And it's going to be kind of a showcase for what VectorayGen can do to a degree. This right here is what I created earlier, which you guys have probably seen this. So all that's vector fields and such for all that motion. And this right here is vector fields for that too. And now I'm just adding the detail fire. And so now I just need to go in and save all before Unreal crashes on me. Yeah, I just did the flames. And so we just created this material right here that has like some distortion in it. We got a way that we can fade it out, and we've got some billowed noise scrolling across it and stuff like that. If you have any questions about how I did it, just let me know and I can go through it. And so we've got that, and now what I need to do is I need to go to my material and I need to re-import this thing. So re-import, and oh my goodness, that's much better fire color. It's beautiful. And I guess by multiplying it with the black body, that's not such a bad thing. But that's, it's really ugly inside the preview though. Holy crap, that's hideous. Let's see here. We'll go back to my, and sorry if I'm like jumping between screens. Yeah, there you go. And so it seems pretty solid for once. I can actually see how the shader is made. Understanding at a glance feels good. There you go. Well, if you have any questions, just let me know. I'm going to turn off this damn black body though. I don't think that it's adding much. I want to keep my colors here. And one of the things that we could do is we can take this billowed noise, which, I mean, this is, it's going to increase our texture count, but we could have even cooler motion if we added colorized versions of this to this right here as well. I don't think I'm going to do that right this second, but in the future I might do that here in a bit. We'll see. And so now I've got that. Did that even save out? I can't tell. Oh, you know what? I think I know what's going on. I think it's because, which, do I even have a particle color node on this? No, I don't. I'm multiplying times an intensity. So I think what I want to do is I'm going to take this little thing right here, and that might be blowing out my colors. And so what I can do here is we'll take just the, I don't know, we'll see how it looks without the intensity real quick. Without the intensity additions. It's still really red. It's red, and I don't know why. So we'll go back and just add in this intensity again. It might be, let's look through the shader. So we got this. I'm going to start previewing, and that looks pretty nice to me. I don't know why I would be doing that. And I know what it is. The reason it's doing this is because I'm subtracting colors. That is why I am subtracting colors, people. And because I'm subtracting the colors, it is making the colors look really weird. So what I need to do is take this. I'm going to subtract that, and I'm going to plug that in there. So I'm going to subtract the red channel, and then I'm going to plug this into opacity. And now, if I subtract it, it should work fine. And so there you go. Subtraction is sometimes your enemy. And so we got that, and not so bad. It doesn't look too terrible. It's not as colored as I would have hoped. Let's see here. So we got that, and okay. So we're blowing out our colors, and I wonder, you know, is it like my post-processing or something? Post-processing. Actually, let me go to Window and Details, and let's see. Nope, I don't want to search for that. Oh, I think I'm clicked on something. Window, World Outliner, Post-Process Volume. You know what? I don't even know if that disables it. Let me just see here. I don't know. I'm not sure if it is a post-processing issue, but my colors are not quite like I expected them to be. But this right here isn't so bad. One thing I would like to test is I'm just going to, just while I'm at it, might as well, right? It's all up for tests here. So one thing I want to do is maybe go into my particle system, turn off my initial velocity, and maybe what I'll do is do required, and then I'll do, not velocity, but we'll do rectangle, and size by life, do something like that. So what I'm doing is I'm making it start off at nearly 0, but maybe I should do 0.25. Then I want to extend this out, and not that much. So I'll do a 2 here, but then as it gets older, we'll stick with 2. but it'll get taller. Maybe we'll do 3. This way it's a little bit longer lengthwise. And so here we go. We've got that, and we've turned off our velocity. And now we have a little bit more like static type fire slowly burning on the ground. But one of the things is I think that these particles last too long. So we'll do like 0.5, 0.6. And so now it's more like a pop-in fire. And you know what? I'll turn on my velocity again because I think that added something to it. And now we've got some cool little particles going on. So what I'll do is set this grass right here on fire. And then we'll just start duplicating this around a little bit. Something like that. And let's see here. There we go. Turns out I was just moving the same thing around. Something like that. So now we've got some fire going around. Yeah, it is kind of reminiscent of Diablo. One thing I want to do is I'm going to go back to this particle system right here, and I'm going to change this like 200. No, actually I'm going to do like 500 on that, but I'm going to really lower this spawn count to maybe 200, and I'm going to change my vector field to be maybe like 2, something like that. Give me some better sparks, something like that. And so now we've got some more hardcore sparks coming up out of the ground, and we've got some flames coming out. And let's see, one thing I want to do is really kind of hone in this color palette right here. So maybe we'll go deeper into the oranges, kind of like that, something like so. And we'll go back a little bit more, something like that. And let's go ahead and save this again. PNG save. Yep, okay. And so from here, we've got that. And let's go into here and I'll re-import this. And now it should be a little bit more on the orange side. And I think that what I can do is I will multiply this color by a particle color node. Yeah, I think that intensity would bring it up too. And so that's a good point. So we'll do maybe 15 here on my intensity. And we'll see here how this is looking. Okay, yeah, it's bringing up some of the bloom there, which is nice. But I'm still not getting that orange color. Oh, wrong thing here. Let's see. Let's go back to my fire. Come on, here we go. Fire. And we'll go back to my matte. I'll multiply this. This way I can force multiply it by some arbitrary colors here. Yeah, that project is going rip. I'm going to delete it, but I just haven't gotten around to it. Yeah, okay. So we got that, and maybe multiply this by like 3. Get some reds in there, man. And I'm wondering, does like, look at that, I delete the post-process and everything changes, but I guess if you turn off the eyeball, it doesn't fix anything. So there we go, there's my post-process again. Yeah. Shows you how much post-process matters in the game, huh? Yeah, because there's my orange colors that I'm drooling over, trying to get with this post-processing. But let's see. My voice is starting to crack at this point. I think I've been streaming for like 2 or 3 hours now. Okay. Anyway, let's see here. So where was that? Okay. I was out here changing the color. So we got 5. I'll do 5 again. Bring in some more reds. Now that's really red in this particular part, but with the way that it is with the post-processing, it doesn't look as red. And so I think that that's a pretty satisfying fire for this second. One thing that I don't like about it is I think that it might be going a bit too high. So maybe I need to make it bigger and stretch it out a little bit more. And I also think that the fade is rather harsh. And so one thing I can do is I'm going to create a material instance real quick. And I'm going to go into here. I'm going to go into my dissolve right here. And I'm going to plug that in there. And we'll call this dissolve rate. And we'll make that 0. Okay. And so I'm going to have to change this to 1 for now, but it's going to multiply times 0 and it'll change up. From the looks of it, you made the fire with a similar technique used for the blood. Yes, exactly. The fire is very similar to the blood method, and so I'm doing the same, erosion method and everything like that. And actually, I don't have my material function here, but on a different computer, I have like a soft erosion setting or whatever. What do you call it? Like a soft erosion material function. There we go. And so I think if I divide this by, say, like 0.2, which we'll see. I'm going to call this softness. And I'll see if this right here actually changes the softness here. So what is this right here plugged into? It's plugged in directly to opacity. And so we'll try and divide it, and we'll see if it turns out right. And so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into my material instance and dissolve rate, distort, So I can change all of this now. And I'm going to set this up on that, change this to be real time. And if anyone knows how to make this background right here like black or something, let me know. But anyway, what I'm going to do is I'm going to change my dissolve rate. So if I change my softness, we can see that it gets softer as we dissolve, I think. That might be right. I'm not sure. What happens if I change it to 0? It's like really hard. If I change it to 1, which isn't dividing by anything. But then if I change it to 2 or 5, then it is dissolving a little bit cleaner. But I think that let's see here. There isn't dissolving super well. So let me hide this gradient real quick. We can go into my levels and see how it's going to dissolve. And there is how it is supposed to dissolve, right? So it's supposed to fade out just like this from some of those harder edges. And, which, like let's say I wanted it to fade out in like a swirl or something. I wonder if I bring in my smudge tool right here, can I get it to kind of fade out in kind of like a radius or something? Let's see. Will that fade it out the way that I'm thinking it will? Yeah, so that kind of fades it out in more of like a twisted fashion. And we can just quickly export this to, we'll change these levels and bring them back down again. That way it's a bit brighter right there. And we'll check my dissolve again. Spinning fireball. It's kind of what I'm going after here. Something like that, because as it goes up, I want it to kind of like roll as it fades out, right? And so, and another way that we could do that is by adding like a flow map to it, and that would technically make it roll if I had a flow map that looked just like this. But I I do not have that option right this second. So we'll just save this again, and we'll go back to PNG and save, yes, okay. And now let's go back to my fire here, and I'll re-import it. And it's going to be quite different, but hey, that's looking pretty good. But we can see that the reason it's popping right now is because of the stuff that I added to my material. And so what I can do is, let's go ahead and just remove this whole divide section, and I'll plug this straight into opacity again. And then my dissolve rate can go back up to just that. And so there we go. And actually, you know, I'll keep this right here just there so that I can preview this. And so now, which one of the things is I think that because I'm pulling from my red channel, I don't have the same exact gradient. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to export a separate mask here. So I'm going to call this mask. And I believe that this right here is the sole reason why my material is not dissolving correctly. Because I'm pulling from the red channel right now, and the red channel is completely different from just the straight grayscale. And like, if I was doing this, actually what I would probably do is I'd make this a TGA and put this right here in the alpha channel, and it might use less memory. It'll definitely use less texture calls, that's for sure. And so I'll go here, and what we need to do is just copy this right here, and we need to plug in the same exact UV distortion. And then I need to bring in my fire mask, and I'll just plug in that right there. And now I have the perfect fire mask. Let me go ahead and I'll just press clean up and clean up unused stuff here. And so from here, what we can do is do that. And you know what? I tell you, what would be really cool is imagine if we could make the fire kind of pan back and forth, right? To a degree, because right now we only have the fire going up this way, but imagine if we had some kind of like global wind setting or something, so that the fire would kind of like blow over this way and then blow over this way and blow over this way. That might be kind of cool if we had alternating panning stuff. I might try and figure that out in a second. I've never done that before. That'd be pretty cool. And so what I need to do is go into my material instance, and let's check this out. And now we can see that it is indeed fading out the way that I would expect it to. Okay, and so this is all really bright, but that's okay. And so now I need to go back into my material, change this to 1, just like so. And now I'm not going to be able to see it in here. That's okay, because now this fire right here should dissipate, and indeed it does. And now what I want to do is change this right here. I bring in my matte, and I'm just going to make it fade out to maybe 0, 0, 0. Is that affecting it? It's really interesting that it's turning pink. Am I even in the right thing? Maybe this one. Something like that. This is interesting. So it's all kind of about figuring out my colors. And so I'm blowing it out right here, which could be a good thing, could be a bad thing. I'm not sure. And then I'm multiplying particle colors against it. And so perhaps what I want to do, which I don't know if this is the right thing to do, I could bring in this right here. So let's plug in that, and then I'll plug in this right here into the opacity. And now we'll see if that right there helps me out. a bit. No, I don't think that's going to work because now that's just going to blow out my other thing. So, which I suppose that this right here works. And then we'll plug this right here back into my opacity. Okay, and so right now we are having some minor issues with colors again. And one of the things here is, I think I should speed up this noise right here. So we'll do like 0.2 minus 0.5, and we'll do like 0.6 and 0.4, something like that. And really speed up this noise right here and get some stuff going through it. And now let's go back to my particle system right here, and I'm going to change this to 2, 3. Something like that. But I am curious to know why it's going out so much. So I think that what I need to do is perhaps come in here and paint some stuff in there to kind of lower out that big portion right there. I'm not sure how you would say that, but it was too white right there, and so it couldn't fade as well. And so now we got that, and oh, did I already save it? I can't remember. Okay, yeah, there we go. Okay, now let's go back into Unreal, and I'm going to re-import this thing again. And there we go. Let's go ahead and save that. And so now we can see that we have less of the pink fire. And then one of the other issues is I think that because we have an almost white section right here, what it's doing is it is multiplying the colors. And so it's basically multiplying red plus white, and what does that equal? Or it's almost white, so it equals something kind of like pink. And we can see that it's this exact color. And so, and then it makes sense. And so let me boost my ending color up to, say, 5 and 3. Then we'll do 10, and we'll do 4 or something like that. Then we do 0.2, 0.5 under that. And this right here is looking like some pretty nice stuff. Now, one thing I don't like is that I have a start height on this cylinder. I want everything to come from the same level. Maybe we can go back up to 20 on this right here. And so now we've got some interesting fire. One of the things that's kind of weird is we've got this line that's showing up. And this just goes back to, you know, doing refinement on your materials here. So we can see that as we fade it, look what we've got. We've got a nice swirl here, which is a nice thing. But we've also got this fucking line right here. Sorry for my language here. But we've got this line right here, and it's messing up our flow, man. Right? So that is okay if it's messing up our flow, because what I can do is I can just kind of come in here, and I'm gonna grab my little tablet right here. I'm gonna kind of paint over this right here, and I'm gonna make that thing fade out a whole lot faster than everything else fades out. And so this right here is like that. And let me grab this color right here, and let me see here, brush, pin pressure. Let me turn off my transfer, and let's create like a harder edge inside of here, something like that. Actually, you know what, let me go back and add in transfer. And this right here is just my brush's transparency, but I'm gonna make sure that I have a minimum of, say, like 50% or something like that. There we go. So we'll add in some stronger colors over here on the side. And that's too many strokes. I should try and do it in just one stroke. Something like that. There we go. And then we can add in some more strokes, kind of like this. And let me change my flow so that it's even less so. We can kind of come in and, you know what, I think that's probably fine. Let me lower my opacity here. There we go, that will help me out a bit. And so there we go, we're gonna just kind of like lower this value right here. Lower some of these things. And one of the things I don't like is my shape dynamics. I want a minimum diameter. There we go, something like that. And kind of bring in some extra depth to it. And so we can come in here, bring in some more extra depth. And we can come in here like in this little edge. And like right now we're in the refining stages of the fire. And so let's kind of see how that right there will fade out. And so see, we got some nice breakups right here. That's pretty nice. And then it fades out kind of like that. One thing that we might want to do is we might want to smudge this right here, like back upwards to a degree. Let's kind of see this. So there we go. So now it's kind of fading out in a radial fashion. It dies out quickly. Extra spoopy. That's extra spoopy. Looks kind of like Cassifer, the guy from Howl's Moving Castle, the fire. Yeah, he's angry. We'll remove that because those types of things you'll be able to see it easily in an effect like this. It might be kind of hard to remove, so maybe I'll pick a lighter color here, and we'll kind of highlight some of this stuff right here again, something like that. Okay, so I think that there is probably pretty nice. So we'll save as, oh nope, not as a PSD. Save as my PNG. Save it right there. Save, yep. Okay. And then one thing I need to do as well, so I'm going to turn back on my my colors here, and I'm going to save this back out again because we've now painted a bunch of stuff into it, and the textures aren't the same, and so we want to make sure that the colors and such match up. So we'll need to re-import both of these once again. So we'll just re-import, and I'll save all. Just like that. And let's see here. So now we've got that. And you know what? That is not a bad looking fire right there, if you ask me. I think it looks nice. It's got some nice movement. It's moving really quickly. One thing that we could do, perhaps, is extend this up a bit more. If we wanted to, we could maybe make this say 4 or 5 in size. And let's see how it looks out here in the open lands. And that's a pretty damn good fire. It's got some really nice motion. That would almost trick me into thinking that it's a flip book with the way that the motion is. And all we did was we went through in Photoshop, we painted some nice swirls, we went back, tested how it was gonna fade out, make sure that it fades out into some nice wispy, fiery shapes and stuff, and that's it. No flip books needed. Okay, so yeah, that's looking pretty dope. We can see how it looks without this, and we can see that it's a nice deep orange right there. One of the things that we can do, since this right here is a fire, let's get this whole little scenario looking pretty good. So what we'll do is we're going to place some new actors. We're going to place a point light right here. And you know what? Maybe we'll do a spotlight. So place actor, spotlight, something like this. And so what I'll do is I will change my intensity to be super bright for now. And then let's change my inner cone angle. Something like this. And let's see. I don't really know what I'm doing here. Here we go. We'll place it right over that fire, right there. And let me see, volume, no scattering intensity so that we can't see it. So there we go. And now I'm going to change this to be a reddish color so that we can get some nice reds in here inside this little environment right here. And change my inner cone angle a bit. Let's increase my intensity. And now we have a, which actually, let's see, 0. There we go. And so now we have a highlighted section where the fires are burning. I think that's a bit too red. So we'll go into more of like a yellow color, something like that. And now we can just place a couple spotlights over here. So we got like another fire over here, and another fire over here. And this is probably not the way you want to do something. And we've got an issue right there. Yeah. And you know what? The best thing to do is, well, actually, I don't know how to move that tree. I think it's painted into like landscape or something. So I will just move that down even more, I suppose. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I'm glad that you like it. And so let's go ahead and maybe move that up a bit. And we'll duplicate the spotlight again so that we're over here. And what I'm doing is I'm just illuminating all of these cracks right here. And one of the things that we can do now is I can take this spotlight, I'm going to duplicate it again, and let's aim it upwards, right? So let's get some light on these trees. And so we'll do something like that. And now I will rotate it 90 degrees, something like so. And then let's bring up the intensity. And let's bring this thing down a bit. And we'll just kind of bring it up from the center. And so now we've got some highlights on this tree, right? And it's kind of like, you know, it's getting there. And so, you know, like I said, I don't know if this is what you'd want to do. I'm not a lighting artist, but, you know, let's see here. For some reason, it's got an error. Let's see here, what am I trying to do? Okay, yeah, I want to get some light on this little bush right here too. Something like that. And let's bring that back. Nope. Keep getting tricked. There we go. And so now we have faked some lighting in this area. We've got some fires burning. Let me grab this right here, and I'm just going to delete that spotlight. I don't like it. And so now we've got that. We've got some cool heat waves coming across the ground from my cracked material. And one thing that would be cool is with my sparks, if I went here and say we duplicate this and we have a burst. So let's go ahead and change this rate to 0. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to change this to be, say, like burst like 500, or maybe burst like 1500 of these suckers, right? And what I'm going to do is I'm going to have some varying delays. So we'll say like between every 6 seconds to every 2 seconds. We'll use the delay range, and we will burst in some new particles depending on what we're doing here. So we'll just see how it looks. I'm not sure if it's going to look excellent. Yeah, it's not as impactful as I would have expected. And so what I think we would need is instead of a burst, we do something like say 500 and we'll change our duration. So we'll do between 0.5 seconds and 1 second long. And let's just change this to like 5,000 so that we can see what's going on. And it also doesn't help that it's in the shape of a cylinder. that is one thing that affects it. Let's turn off this vector field. So we got that. And yeah, that's not too shabby. Let me see here. Yeah, I get some oranger color in there. Do 0.2, 0.3, 0.5, 0.6 or something. Yeah, there we go. And so now let's kind of see how this is looking. And so now we've got some fires. We probably want to, yeah, I'm not sure if I'm filling all those sparks right there. It might be too many. Let's just do like 500 and we'll do some smaller bursts. Let's see. There we go. And also we can bring this right here down so that they're more coming out of the ground. And that might look a lot better too, because I think they were floating in the air. That's one of the reasons it looked bad. Oh, hell yeah. That looks a whole lot better now, in my opinion. But I think that to really help sell the rest of this, we need to make this fire two different things. We need to make more of it, and we need to make it bigger. And so what we're going to do is, let's see here, we can go into our particle system. Oh, that's Discord, not a particle system. And let's see here. Hang on, I'm thinking for a second. Let's see. Okay. So, there we go. Okay, so back into these sparks now. Alright, and so we're going to make bigger fire. So let's go ahead and bring up my initial size to something like, I don't know, 60. Something like that. And now we've got some variation. That's one thing that we didn't do. We had our sizes being basically the exact same. So we've got some bigger fire. Maybe let's make the base 45. And one thing I want to do is I want to lock my axes in both X and Y so that they're the same and that they scale up just the way that we want them to. And to my knowledge, that right there will fix that. And we probably want to make a bigger cylinder, so let's say like 250. And then let's spawn like 50 of these bad boys. And it's actually only coming out to about 30 since they're dying so quickly. So we got that, and holy crap. I think that's too much fire. I liked the smaller bits. So we'll do maybe 75 as my amount. We'll do 15 as this, but is the fire actually bigger? Is it better? See here, we'll bring this right here up a little bit so that we can get it up. So just like that. And we'll come here and do the same thing with this one, bring that one up. Let's bring this one right here up again. Hello, Med Bomber. I believe that's how you say your name. What I'm doing is I have this fissure in the ground and we're just making some cool looking stuff. It doesn't have any particular reason that it's a fissure in the ground or why this place is on fire. Just something happened. And yeah, so just making some cool fire. And I think that it's looking pretty good now, which, let me look at the actual YouTube video. I'm holding on for a second. I'm seeing what it looks like. Okay, so yeah, you guys can see the sparks pretty well. YouTube isn't completely killing the compression. And so I'd like to see what it looks like. what was that thing? Post-process. Yeah, see what it looks like without post-process on. And so, I mean, it's pretty cool. It looks nice. You've got lighting up all the trees. You've got some nice fire. Can you put it up for download? Maybe. Maybe. I will say this. We're going to have a new website soon. Not only on JengaFX.com, but we're launching a new subsidiary for JengaFX. And it's going to be called VFXforGames.com. And technically this channel is going to be renamed to that. And we're going to have tutorials and such. And whenever we do that, we will have a area where you can download the stuff that I made. But yeah, man, I don't mind. I can put all this stuff up right here, up for grabs, and you guys can take a look at the textures and stuff. I don't care. And so, yeah, so I think that's some really nice looking flames. Let's see what it looks like if I increase the length of time that these things live. Yeah, it doesn't have that same effect. And so it's all about the timing, the speed, the punch of the fire. So let's do no, not 35. What did I have it at? 0.4, 0.6. And whenever you say projectile stuff, what are you talking about specifically? Let me go back in time here on Discord. You're on the Discord, right, Raul Spencer? I'm pretty sure you are. Let's see. Let's go up. Talking about this stuff? Oh yeah, Little Spence. Okay, that makes sense. I was trying to figure out what your name was in Discord. Pretty sure it's Little Spence, right? Okay, cool. Yeah, so we got those things. So, yeah, I mean, I will eventually have some of that stuff going on. I'll probably do some projectiles. Ages ago. Okay, hang on. You know what? Let's break out one of the old projects here. Streaming. Let me look at algorithms, Cuber. Oh, screen's flickering for some reason. VFX, Largflar. Let me open up streaming. Like 2 weeks. I'm not sure what I did 2 weeks ago, to be honest. I know that I've made some pretty cool stuff. Well, I'm opening up another project though. Let me see if I can close. Let's see here. Oh my god, Oculus, fuck off. Jeez. Ugh. Okay. So, going into my stuff, let's see, what do I have here? Goop, particles, meshes. Okay, so I have some stuff here. What is this thing? Oh yeah, lack of projectiles. I think I know what you're talking about. Are you talking about just like stuff scrolling across mesh, that kind of thing? Because, I mean, we can do some projectile shit right now if you want to. I mean, it's all gravy to me. We can do a little bit. I think I'm basically done with my fire stuff. It just depends on what it is that you're wanting to do. Let's see here. You know, this right here is the correct stuff that I need. Lightning strike. Okay, yeah, sure. And if you're talking about like not mesh-based projectiles, and you're talking about just like actual literal projectiles instead of using like a hit trace method, then I mean, we could do something like that. We could use the fire that we created to make, like, say, a fireball projectile. And perhaps what we could do is maybe build something that lets us click around in our little editor and shoot fireballs at something. Yeah, if that's something that you're interested in, we could do something like that. And so, in the meantime, let me see this. Size by life. Okay. Yeah. So, okay. Alright. So, alright, we'll do some, a fireball spell. And we'll set up the appropriate blueprints for that and do stuff. Now, I can't do things like, you know, player abilities or whatever on the blueprint side. But, yeah, we won't do any mesh-based stuff right now. I'll show you two types of projectiles. Through this method, we'll do mesh-based with like a hit trace, line trace, whatever, and kind of like solar coasters. And, yeah. But, let's go ahead and see. Oh, look at it. It's so beautiful. Okay. So, essentially, I'm sad that I deleted my post-process. It's probably too far back for me to save. Sad day for me. Sad day. Let me see what somebody sent me. Okay. So, we've got this right here. And, alright. Let me just take a second. I need to drink some water for a minute. I'll be right back in 2 minutes or so. I need to use the bathroom. 1 second. I'll let you look at my anomaly while we're at it. Here we go. Did my stream break? Am I still online? Because I guess my my screen froze while I was going away. Okay, let's see here. we'll make a fireball and see if we can't set that up. And for this, I'm gonna go to, you know what, screw it, I'll do it in this level right here. Let me change this fog density. There we go, make it something a little more visible here. Oh my god, that's so beautiful. Yeah, so we're going to use this fire if we want to. And let me know if you want me to paint a completely new fire texture and we can kind of start from scratch. You know, we'll build the shader again or something and do whatever. It just depends. How much detail do you want me to go into, Spencer? And so, yeah, once you get that info up, I will let you know. And let's see. Uh-oh. Whoops. Okay. All right, so I think that what we'll do is you do you. You don't have room to really draw because the space is limited. Watching on cell phone. All right, so for now, we'll just use the same textures that we have already made for this fire a little bit ago. And, you know, from there, I'm probably definitely going to hand draw some more textures for the fireball. But first thing, you know, let's go ahead and get up a basic projectile setup. And we'll see if we can do some point and click stuff. So let's go ahead and go to my content browser. I'll make a new folder. And we're going to call this spells. All right. And so from here, from my spells, let's go ahead and create a blueprint class. And we're going to do actor. You know what? While I'm doing this, I might as well go ahead and post this in the real-time VFX stuff. Does this video have a link? This is my first time ever streaming on YouTube. So I'm going to paste this. Alright, so post it in the real-time chat. We'll see if we can get some more viewers up in here. Starting from the beginning. Okay, I'm going to grab another swig of water and we're going to start on it. And out of curiosity, how is my microphone? Is it good right now? Okay. So, the first thing that we want is we want to create a blueprint actor. I'm going to do rename, and I'm going to call this, we'll just call it Projectile Spawner. Something like that. And, cool, I got you. Might have been scratchy because of my voice. So, okay, so we've got this, and the first thing we want to do is go ahead and dump those tick things, and we probably don't even need to on begin play. Let's go ahead and go into my fissure, and I'm going to duplicate this fire, and I'm going to call this FX Fire Trail 01. We're going to throw that in my spells folder and see what this looks like in motion. Not too good. So let's do that, and what I'll do is I'm going to change its velocity to 10, -10, and in this case, let's go ahead and do some rotation. So we'll do initial rotation. And we might need to up our spawn count to something like maybe 50. In this case, 25, perhaps. Okay. And also, give me a second, I'm going to post my stream in our Django effects server as well. Okay, so this right here is going to be the base of our projectile. We don't want it in local space. And don't worry, we'll create some more particles here from scratch. Right now I just want a really good base. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to throw a fire trail out here. And I'm going to kind of see what it looks like in motion as a projectile and see if we need anything else. So I can tell that this right here is going to be good as an initial shape, right? Oh, whoops. It's going to be good as an initial shape. We might need some more filler, but probably not. And we probably want the fire to be smaller, unless this is like a big spell or something like that. But we can see that we have some pretty cool fiery motion right here. Things are looking good thus far. So let's go ahead and dig into the blueprint side of things and get this stuff going. And so we're going to have two different things. We're going to have two blueprints. We're going to have a projectile spawner, which is going to spawn the projectiles whenever we click somewhere, and hopefully it should target that area. And then we're going to have a actual blueprint for the fireball. And so we'll call this spell fireball. And so what we want to do here is we're going to add in our, which let me go to this, go here, and let me add in my particle system. I was hoping that it would automatically go into my fire trail, but it didn't. That's okay. So, okay. And hang on, give me 1 second. I'll be right back. My wife is messaging me wanting to know when she should cook hot dogs. So give me just a second. I'll be right back. Okie doke. The hot dog dilemma. Alright, so I'll be having to get off here in just a little bit for dinner, and after I eat dinner I'll hop back on. So, okay. So we've got a little fireball, and this is going to need a lot of work for it to look like a projectile, but of course what we're doing now is we're just building the motion. And so, let's see, projectile movement, and let's see, velocity and X. And I haven't ever done a point and click projectile spawner here, so this is all a learning experience for me as well. Spawn from class. We're going to spawn an actor from class, and we're going to do fireball. Okay, and we want to do click on event. You know what, let me see. Let's see, on left mouse button. Just do on pressed, just like this, and we'll spawn a fireball actor. And then let's see, perhaps we can do get cursor delta, Let's see. I'm not sure what I'm doing here. I'm not sure if we will be able to point and click as much as I'd want to. But what we'll do is get transform. Get the world transform. We'll spawn transform there. And we'll save. And for now, if we left click, it will spawn a fireball. And then what I want is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to create a sphere for collisions. And then I'm going to change this right here to be invisible. But I'm going to do simulate hit events, and it generates that. And I'm going to do overlap only pawn. Let's see. Yeah, we'll just do block all dynamic here. And so from here, we'll say, let's do a on. So for this, whenever it collides with something or overlaps, we'll see. On component begin overlap, or on component hit. So on component clicked, release, activated. Yeah, I guess we'll do a hit result, and we will just say destroy. Actually, let's see, destroy. And is it destroy actor that we want? Yeah, destroy actor, and we're just going to destroy self. And this right here is going to let us clean up a little bit. And so from here, now, if we click, so let's go ahead and throw in a projectile spawner. And if I play inside the selected viewport, and I click, is it gonna actually spawn fireballs? That's a good question. I don't think it is. Let's see here. It might be because I'm not like possessing it or something. So what I'll do for now is, just for the sake of this, I'm just going to undo that, and I'm going to do begin play and then delay. So I'm going to delay it. I'm going to say every 2 seconds or every 1 second spawn a fireball. Oh yeah, let's do 2 seconds. And we'll actually copy and paste that over here. I'll go here, and this is probably a bad thing to do, but this right here will just get it going for us so that we can see if it actually works here. Okay, so now we have fireballs dripping out of this thing. And the actors should be killing themselves. So we'll do spell, we'll just search spell up here in the world outliner, and we can see that it is spawning them, but they are not dying for some reason. I reckon, let's see here. Let's go here to my projectile spawner and fireball. And let's go ahead and do some initial speed. And we'll do max speed of say 500, and we'll do an initial speed of 500 as well. And we'll see if this right here shoots out some fireballs. Okay, so it is certainly shooting fireballs. Okay. What's up, Florian? Sorry, I had Discord on my other screen and I wasn't looking at the chat. Yes, I could do this with events and Cascade, but I'm wanting to show how to do like an actual spell in blueprints kind of thing. You know, I could have it so that it launches out and whatnot, but I don't want to do that. I want to build everything through blueprints motion-wise. I just want the trails and stuff inside a Cascade to be static. So how did you add the projectile movement? If you go up here, default scene root, you click add component, and you just type projectile movement, and that right there will add it for you. And let's go ahead and boost this up a bit more, and we'll do say 5,000. 5,000. And then of course, like with blueprints, we can do some other complex things like lerp to a target or something like that if we wanted to. And so we could do something like that as well. And so, like, we'll see. We'll get around to it. Let's see. What we can do is we can do, actually we can do it now. We'll do is homing projectile. And from here on the spawn, so projectile spawner. And what we want to do is we want to create another blueprint. And we want to call this sad sob. Sad pleb. There we go. It's a sad pleb because it is the one that is going to be getting damaged. And so this right here is what we want to damage. And let's see. We can. I want to find something on the internet, a texture to shoot at. Let's see. Here we go. I'm looking for a wizard texture or something. I don't know. It's completely useless to do, probably. Yeah, I don't see anything good. Anyway, okay. So I've got this, and we're just going to set this as the almighty sphere that we all know and love. In visual effects, we're going to make it bigger, and this right here is going to be our target. So this is the sad pleb. And then we've got our spell fireball. And so we have it so that whenever it hits something, it destroys itself, but it does not appear to be hitting anything. And so we probably need to do overlap. And so let's say on sphere overlap, on begin overlap. Here we go. Ta-da, destroy actor. And now we can see real quick if it will erase the things. Huh. Nope, it's not deleting my fireballs for some reason. I will get around to that in a minute, I guess. I'll try and figure that out. It might be something to do with like the landscape or something. I don't know. Collisions are a turd in Unreal sometimes. So we're spawning our actor, and then what we want to do is we want to tell this right here on begin play, set homing, let's see. Set homing target component, and let's do find all, or let's see, get actor. What do you do here? You want to get an actor, so get all actors of class. There we go. Pleb, sad pleb. And so on begin play, we want to get all actors of class. We want to get array. And so let's see, context sensitive. Get index. Let's see, index. Sorry, I'm trying to figure out okay, I guess I'm gonna have to do a component. Let's see, find item. There we go. Nope, not find item. And sorry, just work with me for a second here. We'll do array is valid add, contains item, nope. Is valid length, remove index, set array element. Okay, and I don't know if that's it either. Get actor swap resize length is valid. Insert get a copy. Okay, there we go. It's get a copy. And we want to do let's see, target or homing. Okay. And so it says sad pleb it's not compatible with a weak object. So another thing that we can do is perhaps just lerp our, so what we can do is let's say get location or get, yeah, location of this object right here. So we're going to get the location, and I'm going to turn this off. So let's see here. And so I'm going to get that location, and then I'm going to get default right here. There we go. I'm going to get the location of this. And so this is the thing with doing a stream live is sometimes I don't know what I'm doing. And it's not prepared like a tutorial is. So here we go. We're getting world location, and then we want to do a v-interp. Let's see, vector interp. I think I just had it v-interp. There we go, v-interp 2. So our current and our target, and we want to do say a delta time, and so let's do delta time. Get world delta seconds, there we go. And our interp speed, let's do 2, save, okay. And this right here, and we don't need the projectile movement anymore. And then I can show you how to do some offsets on here through a timeline so that we can essentially, what do you call it? So that we can create like some arcs and stuff. So this right here is, I'm going to show you how a cheap way to do arcs. And so right now this should just go straight to the target. So let's find this right here in the content browser. Let's go ahead and minimize this. This right here is the sad pleb of a target. And if we go ahead and play, is it going to the target? Nope. For some reason. Let's see. This looks really bad on me right now because I can't seem to figure it out. Oh, duh. I know why. Because I need to set location. Let's see. Set world location, default scene rate. Here we go. And this right here will be what I need to do. And I need to bring in my tick event over here. So here we go. And of course we have to actually update our position, and that's why it doesn't work. So that makes complete sense, because I was like, this should definitely work. And now watch it not work, and I'm gonna be sad. Look at that. Holy shit. And now we have a fireball traveling to a target. And so if I come over here and we say select that and we simulate, if I move this, the fireballs will track it. And so there we go. So that right there is the start to our little spell. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to do a delay here. So let me do a, say, delay. And after, say, 3 seconds, if it doesn't die, then we'll kill it. Okay. All right. Yep, it's really simple. All you need is just this vinterp2, and we can change the speed right here and such. Let's see. Yeah, so I think the slower the speed. One of the things that I don't like about the vinterp2 is it's like a smooth step. It slows down at the end, and I'm sure that there is a way to stop that. So let me just say interp vinterp2 constant. So there we go. So now we've got our target, we've got our world seconds. We're going to do, say, 5 as our projectile speed. There we go. All right, and so now we should have a constant speed. Is it not? Did I hook something up wrong? Lick this if you cry, Everton. Our target, delta time, interp speed 2. I wonder if it's, we'll see. It might just be the fact that it's a constant. Oh, can't select that. Come on, go to it, damn it. Okay, so there might be some kind of secret here. I'll change this to the ticks delta seconds instead, and we'll see if this works. And let me see if playing in the selected viewport works. Nope. Okay, so playing in the selected viewport does not work either. And let's see here. I don't know why vinterp2 constant would not work. If any of you blueprint wizards out there, all 7 of you, if you have any idea why this is not working for me, let me know. I'd like to know. I would like to know why vinterp2 constant does not work. Because it says reach the target at a constant rate. 0.1 maybe? 50? 500? Okay, there we go. I think it just needed to be a much higher number. It was moving so slow, it couldn't do a damn thing. So let's bump this up to like a million, 10 million. What is that? No, a billion. There we go. Jeez, I can't even count my numbers. 1,500. Let's try this. Okay. And now we will simulate and test our projectile. There we go. And so now we have the projectile is doing everything that it can to follow. Okay. And so now what we want to do, okay, so now our next step in this process is we want to add an arc to this motion, right? And so, you know, normally you could do like following along a spline, but say we want it to arc out this way, okay? So we want it to arc out. So how are we going to do that? Does anyone know? Does anyone know? It's quite simple. Add a timeline. And what we're going to do is we are going to play from the start. So actually I'm going to do a sequence here. So I'm going to do that, then I'm going to do that. So I'm going to play this, and I'm going to go in here, and I'm going to create a vector track, and let's see what axis is this. Let's just say for now we want it to move a little bit in the x-axis, a little bit in the z-axis. If YouTube, if YouTube, you know, does recorded stuff, I don't know. I'm pretty sure that live videos will be published. I will probably publish this on my channel. I'm sure that there's a way to do it, Florian. But yeah, and you should be able to see the tutorial from start to finish, I'm sure, or everything. So yeah, I'll most likely publish this to the channel here. So the way that we do this is, let's change this to say 3 seconds, okay? And what we want to do is, let's go ahead and hide everything except for, and we can go ahead, and this right here is going to fit our curve. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a curve at 0 with a value of 0. I'm going to create a curve at 1.5 with a value of 5. And then I'm going to go here, and I'm just shift clicking on this curve, by the way. And so I'm going to select this, and I'm going to make it a value of 0 and a time of 3. And then from here, I'm going to select all of them, and I'm going to right click. There's a hidden menu. It's so stupid that it's hidden, but it's a hidden menu, and I'm just going to click auto. This right here is going to create a nice smooth gradient for us. And then I'm going to select this and kind of send it upwards. And then I'm going to click this. I'm going to send that upwards. And basically on every single tick, it's going to add something to the thing in this arc. Sorry, that was very, very bad conversation. I don't even know what the fuck I just said. Ugh. Okay. It's going to add a position to the projectile on every tick. So at 0.14 seconds, it's going to add 0.9. At 0.15 or 0.21 in time, it's going to add 1.3 to it. And so you can see that this is kind of like compounding, right? This isn't saying that it's going to go to 5 centimeters out or 5 Unreal units at 1.5. This is going to be compounding. So on update, what I want to do is I want to set my world location just like this. And so actually what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab this right here, and I'm going to do add local offset. So we're going to add a local offset. I'm going to bring in this new track right here, and then on update. And so that's going to do its own thing. And now we should have a curving fireball. Let's see. Yeah, it is curving a little bit. Just a little bit. So, oh, whoops. What we need to do is we really need to boost this number right here in spell fireball. So in the timeline, let's boost this to like 25. Okay. Okay, so we're boosting that to another billion. So we're boosting that to 25. Uh-oh. It's looking like we got some issues here. So we can see that it's adding a bit odd. And so, but we can see that we've kind of got like a curve. And so it is kind of weird. This isn't like the best way to do an arc, because you might want to like calculate your arc over whatever time you're doing it at or whatever. But this right here is probably pretty good. So let's go to my blue, and I'm going to do the same thing. I'm just going to bring this up, something like that. And now we will have an arc that kind of goes up and over. And there we go. So we've got some cool little projectile stuff going on. And so This is not like the best way that you could possibly do this, by the way, you know, because it's going to change the amount of time that things happen. So what we can do is we can change this to like 1, and then I can move this right here over a bit, and I'll move this over here. Something like that. And so we'll do 0 and exactly 1. And one of the things to note is you have to make this exact or you'll never reach the end location that you're wanting to reach. Okay. So what I mean by that is this value should equal this value at the same time. Yeah, I mean, you can use particle events and like acceleration, I think, but I mean, the point is that we want it to reach a target. So let's do 15, and then I'm going to go here. And then let's see, I've got 1 and 0. So that's exactly what we're wanting here. And so, okay, so from here, we can go ahead and stop that, and now let's check it again. And so now, just within the first second, it'll do the offset, and then it'll stop doing offsets to it. Right, and so now we've got a fireball that kind of loops over. So how about that? And so now we're going to start making this fireball actually look good. Okay, I mean, this right here is already a pretty decent fireball, you know, as a spell. Yeah, so let me go ahead and save all. I don't want to save demonstration. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to just restart my level real quick. I'm going to open level, and hopefully my post-processing will come back because I deleted it earlier. Oh my goodness, praise it. My post-processing is back. So what we're going to do is let's go ahead and bring back our projectile spawner right here. And then I'm going to bring my sad pleb into here. So something like that, and there we go. And so now we've got our fireball moving through space. It's doing its thing. Takes a while to cast and actually reach the target, but it's doing what it should do. You never knew. So YouTube got tired of me sending messages. What's going on with that? And then you said, but yeah, I never knew how to make projectiles actually shoot something. I could have tricked it using acceleration and such, but yeah, this right here is a good way to make it reach a straight target if you want it to. And what you could do is you could place a bunch of these actors right here in the world. You could do like get closest. Yes, there is a way to randomize it. And so one of the things that we can do is, let's see here. So we can say, we'll do this local offset. And what we can do is, we're going to break the link. We're going to split the pin struct, okay? So we're going to split our pin struct. And then we're going to do a break vector, or break transform, I guess. No? Here, I'll just do split struct pin on this too. And then what we want to do is we want to do add float. Okay, so we're going to add float, and we're going to do that. And let's bring this up. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to plug these in to each one. It doesn't, I don't have to split this out. There's a different way I could do it, but I'm just doing it this way for the sake of it. And then what we want to do is let's just plug in this stuff right here. Technically this Y could come out, but I don't know. we'll see how it looks. For now, I'm not going to randomize anything. Random float within range. Okay. We're going to say a minimum of, say, 200 and or minimum of 2 and 2. And we'll see if this right here will do something. I'm not sure. Because I'm not sure. Let's see here. We'll watch this value. Oh, nope. Go back. I have too much stuff going on. Let's close some of this stuff. Yes, save it. And then save it. Oh my god, do I have to do this for everything? Okay. So fire, save it, sure. We don't need to open it right now. Fire, sure, whatever. Projectile Spawner. Okay. Fireball spell. And so now we just want to watch this value right here. And I'm going to go ahead and hit play. And you know, it's not going to show anything for me. So one thing I'm going to do is I'm going to throw in an actual fireball. Here. So one of the things is I'm going to throw in this actual fireball right here. And so we can see that that right there does indeed change. And so, which we can watch it again. Let me make this right here bigger now that we don't need to actually see what's going on. So my random number is constantly changing. It looks like. Come on. Okay, yeah, so we're constantly randomizing and doing whatever. So yeah, so that is not the way that I wanted it to work specifically, because what it's doing is it's updating every single time. And so what we can do instead, let's go ahead and grab this right here. And what we can do is we can promote to a variable. We'll call this random. Yeah, and so what we can do is we can do this right here. We will set this at the very beginning, okay? And this right here is going to make it so that our random number is always the same. Get random, and actually I don't need to get it again. I'll just plug it in. There we go. Sure, yeah, we'll just leave it +0 for now. Okay, for Y, because we're not using it in this graph. Okay, looks like I have to go eat. I will get up in just a second after I figure this out. Okay, let's see. Okay, so event graph. And now what we're going to do is we have this random. And I'm going to do -50 to +50, or 520, -520, -520. Come on. There we go. Okay, now let's see what it does. So we should have some randomized stuff. Looks like some stuff is going under the world or something. Maybe. Can't tell. Holy crap. It's going way, 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 way up. So we'll do like -10 and +10. Okay, so it is randomized quite a bit now, as you can see. But one of the things is it's not really going into like the x-axis a whole lot. And so one thing that we could do is make the negative number greater. So we just say -30. Okay, so we'll do -30. Maybe that will be enough to offset the fireball. Yep, so there we go. So that is relatively random. And so now what we've got is I'm going to edit this blueprint again, and I'm going to make this spawn every 0.5 seconds. And actually, I'm going to promote this to a variable, and we'll call this spawn rate. And I'm going to expose it on spawn. Our default's going to be that. And now we can play. And now we can get a feel for what everything looks like being randomized. And so we actually have them coming out from the left, but they are going through the world quite a bit. And so let's see here. We'll move this up, and then I'm going to go to my spell fireball and then my timeline, and I'm going to bring these numbers down quite a bit. There we go. Okay. So now, and now we have something going more to the side. So we'll do -10 again, and we'll see if, let's just do -15. We don't need as much. So there you go. Now it's shooting out in multiple directions. And it's all randomized, so it randomly chooses what direction to go into. Sometimes it's straight, sometimes it's a big arc. So is that what you were looking for? But yeah, I have to step out for a bit. I'm gonna go eat some dinner, and then I will be back on in just a bit. I'm gonna go ahead and, I don't know, probably turn off the stream and then go eat. And I'll be back in just a bit. So thank you guys for watching, and I'll be on in a bit. Now let me see if I can turn this thing off. GeForce experience. Goodbye, people.